On the second page, do you have?
Gives us time. Absolutely. People think we're behind.
He gave it to me when I was down there. I already had one yesterday.
That's
a pretty picture, I guess.
No, thank you.
I put a picture of the Rialto on my laptop that I don't know how to do. They took off.
Last night I started.
What's the name of this? Read the name of this firm.
Whenever you're ready.
I see Shane's back there. They must be business.
You got me going first name associates.
Good evening, and welcome to the Joliet City Council meeting for December 19th, 2017. Tonight, our invocation will be given by the Reverend Kevin Comfort of the Judson Memorial Baptist Church, 2800 Black Road, and he will lead us into the invocation and the prayer. Please stand.
Please join me in prayer. Almighty God, we enter into this season in which we recognize your gift of grace and peace to the world, and an offer that you've given to us that we can live in peace. And so tonight we pray for peace. We pray for world peace. It seems like such a big thing, too big for anyone to handle. But we pray for it. We think about the soldiers who are spread throughout the world, who are seeking that. We pray for their safety, their protection, and that they might feel your presence. We pray for our nation, that our nation might understand peace between people, between political leaders, between states. We just pray that your peace might reign. We pray for our communities, particularly Joliet. We pray that there's peace in the homes and in businesses, that there's peace as we run our city. You are a great God, and you've come to bring peace, and we need your help to live in that peace. And so we call upon you to bring it. Thank you for this night. We ask that you give wisdom to our leaders, and that as we meet together to decide important things that are important to many people, that resolution can be found in the midst of our being at peace with one another. In Jesus' name we pray these things. Amen. Amen. I'd like to introduce Dec.19, who's going to present the colors, lead us in the Scout Prayer, and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Color guard attention. Will the audience please rise? Color guard advance. Color guard halt. Color guard post the colors. Audience, will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Audience, you may be seated.
Thank you.
Color guard, return to ranks. Color guard about face. Color guard advance. Halt. Color guard, you may be dismissed. Help us, dear God, to love thee day by day, to do our duty to you and enjoy our play, to keep our Cub Scouts promise the best that we can, and to do our best always to help our fellow men. Amen.
Amen. Mayor? Yes. At this time, Richard, go ahead and stay up there. I want to introduce Richard Rodriguez, the PAC leader, or one of the PAC leaders. This is PAC 99, the Wolverines.
Wolverine Warriors.
Wolverine Warriors. And if you would, have them stand up with you and introduce them individually so we can all know them.
Boys, even better yet.
Sean Nassif. Michael Murphy. Tyler Miller. Matthew Bjorklund. Aiden Rodriguez. Jacob Schmidt.
I was able to spend some time with them, as the mayor did as well, and they had some really good government questions for us. We spent a good 45 minutes. I was able to answer almost all the questions. This is our future, folks, and you guys did a tremendous job, both in the meeting we had prior to this, as well as presenting the colors and doing the prayer. So give yourselves a little, thanks guys.
On behalf of PAC 99 and Wolverine Warriors, we want to thank the City Council of Joliet for giving PAC 99, the Wolverine Warriors, the opportunity to serve today. They learned a lot about some of the challenges that the city is going to face and what you all are doing to make those changes and make our community a better place. Thank you guys and happy holidays.
Thank you. You too. Mayor, do they want a picture with the mayor and the council in front here? Sure. Okay.
This way. Oh, damn. You see, I'm moving too.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. You're on a little housekeeping note to make about this game.
Okay.
I just want to make a little housekeeping note. I see we have some people standing. It is live streaming in the hallway out front. If anybody wants a chair to sit, the meeting will be live streamed out by the elevator. Okay? And I forgot to mention this meeting is being presided by the Honorable Robert Odekirk, Mayor of Joliet.
We'll begin with roll call. Mayor Odekirk.
Here.
Councilman Dickinson.
Here.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Here.
Councilman Girl.
Here.
Councilman Hug.
Here.
Councilman Morris.
Here.
Councilman Mudron.
Here.
Councilwoman Quillman. Here. Councilman Turk.
Here.
First under mayor is Mayor Odekirk appointments. None this evening. Next is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written with the following changes? For Council Memo 679-17, the annexation of 138.5 acres at the southwest corner of Route 53 and Breen Road, classification to I-1 light industrial zoning, and approval of an annexation agreement. Council will be voting either on a resolution denying the annexation request or three separate votes. First, an ordinance approving the annexation. Second, an ordinance approving the classification to I-1 zoning. And lastly, a resolution approving an annexation agreement. In addition, Council Memo 694-17, approving an extended service agreement for the video board at Joliet Route 66 Stadium, is being removed from the agenda this evening. And Council Memo 696-17, award a contract for debt collection services, is being moved under consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written with the following, with the changes that I mentioned?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudron.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is citizens to be heard on agenda items. First is Al Harris.
If I may, step forward, sir. Per the city statute or city ordinance, the comments should be terminated after 4 minutes. When you step forward, please give your name and address for the record. Last night, there were two speakers, Larry Walsh Sr. and Jr., who both addressed the council, who I did allow to speak more than for the 4 minutes because they are elected officials. But we have a large crowd tonight and a lot of speakers, so I would ask everyone that if you respect the 4-minute rule. Thank you.
My name is Al Harris. I live at 19313 Quail Court in Jackson Township. I'm here on the subject of the proposed annexation, and I'm urging the city council, the mayor, and the city council to reject the annexation agreement in its totality. My reason for saying such is that I don't think at this point in time the infrastructure in the area could stand any additional truck traffic, car traffic. It's just not possible for me to see it that way. I also find it, to me, rather bothersome that at this point in time, you are being asked to rezone a piece of property, which in fact, I believe your own planning department recommends you reject this. I believe that it doesn't fit with the plan that was been on file. There's been several plans on file, and I know of none of them that wanted this property ever made commercial light industry. And so my next statement, while it may seem a little bit, well, the fact of the matter is you're being asked to do something that benefits one small group of people, a property owner. And in fact, the issue of the property values around there being suffering from what's gone on already exists. They cannot get any better. The infrastructure at this point in time, I see no indication of anything better happening, say at Route 80 and 53, Laraway and 53, or any other area. So I'm urging you not to do this. I've dealt with the City Council of Joliet over the years on many occasions. There's some people that might actually remember me. I don't say these things lightly. I have no reason to have animus with this council, but I believe you should follow the directions of your planning department and reject this. Down the road, who knows? But to make one group of people happy instantly, make them millionaires opposed to thousands of dollars, put everybody else at jeopardy, and in fact, to some people's mind, extract that advantage for them out of their pockets. I would ask you to think about that. I think your own planning department's recommendations are what you should follow. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Gerald Hellis.
Gerald Ellis, 19301 Quail Court. I'd like the board to consider the environment, the noise pollution, the air pollution, and the water pollution. Warehouses and raising children is not a good mix. I mean, I wouldn't have to say that to any of you. That's common sense. Another thing to consider is here in Will County, we should think about preserving some farmland for the future, for our food. Consider the Medawan National Grassland and the Abraham National Cemetery. And like Al Harris said, if you would just stick to the plan, it would be good for the residents in Jackson Township. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jack Hicks.
Good evening, Mayor, ladies and gentlemen. I live on Knoll Road, 19344 West Knoll Road, which is my backyard would be in this annexation that they want to do. My property is 150 feet by 300 feet, which is an acre, size of Soldier Field. They're asking you to take 130 Soldier Fields and put two giant factories there in between two residences, two communities. I've traveled for the last 60 days throughout Joliet, Manhattan, New Lenox, Elwood, all around Will County, and nowhere have I seen a big giant factory or warehouse, and they want to put two between two residences. to residential areas. I have a 3-month-old baby in my house. The traffic, the noise, they say, well, it's 600 yards away. I stand from my backyard and I look across the field and 10 months ago, I was able to see the racetrack. They built this giant factory. Today I walk out my door and what do I see? A big, giant warehouse that's been empty for 10 months. Why? And now we have two that are right near the race, right kitty corner from it. And you have two more giant factories there, or warehouses, whatever you want to call them. And you see there's only 2 or 3 trucks there. One there, I very seldom ever see it. I come into Joliet every single day to do business. I'm retired, but I still come to Joliet. And it is crazy driving down Route 53. The truckers don't care. And as the developer told us at a meeting a couple months ago, well, guess what? You just have to put up with progress. I'm asking the city council to deny this request by them. Take away the greed from them and consider the constituents of the two communities, in fact, around the entire Jackson Township, because we deserve to have peace and quiet just like everyone else. Just think about it. Tonight you go to bed. Tomorrow you wake up and you see this humongous giant building in your backyard. There's nothing dividing you. If you put a 10-foot, if you put a 15-foot barrier, I'm telling you, as I'm standing here right now, ladies and gentlemen, that I will see nothing but the top of that wall and a whole bunch of that wall, that building. So I ask you in sincere honesty to deny this request. What house is there? 138 acres? They say that, well, they don't want to build in this area because the education isn't that good. Well, my son is, both of my children actually went to Elwood schools and Joliet high schools. My daughter's a PA, and my son's studying, can't tell you what he's studying, but anyways, he just got out of the Marines, so I respectfully request that you deny this request by these people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alejandro Gutierrez.
Alejandro Gutierrez, 19544 Sharp Road. I addressed you yesterday. I just got a few more things to say. One thing is that when you took and annexed the property and zoned it housing, the only part of it that was supposed to be rezoned into warehousing or commercial was the tract from the south side of 66. For a half a mile, you weren't supposed to have houses, but you went ahead and did it, and the racetrack called you on it. That's why you could change that over pretty easy. But like the man was saying, we live on a 16-foot wide street. We don't have curbs. We don't have sidewalks. When the kids are out there, I've got a long 150-foot driveway. When the kids are out there playing, we don't let them in the front yard, the grandkids. When they're riding their bikes, we have to park the truck perpendicular to the driveway to keep people from turning around in there. Now, how would you like it if you lived out there and all of a sudden you got a semi coming in from the west and you got a UPS truck coming in from the east on that same road, but you only got 16 feet? What ends up happening, the UPS truck, if he's coming from the east, he ends up having to go into the front yards to keep from hitting the semi. And our truck drivers are so smart that when they turn east off of 53 to go on our road, it's got a weight limit, no trucks, dead end, and they still turn on there. And then when they get over the bridge, there's a sign that says dead end. Oh, GPS says this road goes straight through, and they keep on going. And then when they get to the dead end, they back up. Now there's the last house on our street, it's a big house. The guy says, yeah, he says, the one that you told not to go down there, he went down, and when he went to back up, he backed up in the guy's driveway. damaged the driveway. And he got a hold of the guy's company, and they did pay for it. But I'm gonna tell you, I don't wanna take a whole lot of your time, but a few months back, and it doesn't pertain to this, a few months back, somebody tried to open up a used car lot over here at the old flooring store on Larkin. And the city council told them at that time, we don't need another used car lot out here. And I'm pretty sure all these people are gonna tell you, we don't need any more warehouses out there, and we don't need any more trucks. So I hope you take all this into consideration, even though we know that none of you probably even travel the roads that much. I put out an invitation yesterday for you to ride with me down 53, and nobody took me up on it, because most of the time the people cover their faces. They don't want to get hit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Wojak?
Good evening, Michael Wojtek on behalf of the Keith Landovitz, who is a landowner at 23525 South Vetter Road. I'm commenting on the City Council Memorandum 691-17 regarding the annexation, regarding the grant of condemnation powers by intergovernmental agreement from the county to the city. My client owns the northeast corner of the proposed right-of-way acquisition, and would just like to express his concern that the council carefully consider, not necessarily, we have no opposition to the grant, the intergovernmental agreement. We realize that all governmental entities have condemnation powers, and how they get them is really just a procedural matter. We would ask that we be treated fairly and the process be observed, that all he wants is to be treated fairly in the acquisition and the negotiations of either the right-of-way or his entire property. And we would concur with the comments made by Councilwoman Quillman yesterday at the pre-council meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ken Yeager?
Live at 1310 Marie Street, Joliet. There's a reoccurring theme here tonight, and that is the continued destruction and the future destruction of entire neighborhoods. Once again, I'm here to plead with you to reject Silver Cross's request for annexation for property north of Route 6 only. The argument that they can do what they want, and I'm sure the people that own the property that want the zone for industrial area, they have this argument they can do what they want. That argument, they own the property, they can do what they want with it. That argument rings a has a very hollow ring to it, excuse me. Just because someone owns a gun does not mean that they have a right to kill or maim an innocent person. In this case, you can stop Silver Cross from ruining an entire neighborhood by rejecting their request. An entire neighborhood should not have to suffer because they made the very poor decision to purchase that property in the first place. We wouldn't be here tonight discussing this issue had that not happened. Please remember the petition that I gave to you a few weeks ago, signed by my neighbors. I'm going to ask you, just like was asked you a few moments ago, would you want to live in an area, if development takes place, would you want to live in a ruined neighborhood once development takes place in this particular area? Please vote no on the request by Silver Cross to have this area annexed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dave Turdick?
Good evening, Mayor or Dirk and the City Council members. My name is Dave Turdick. I live at 19325 Quail Court, Elwood, Illinois, unincorporated Jackson Township. My wife Karen and I built our house here in 1978 to raise our family when we were 23 years old. That was 39 years ago. And the thought of having two 1 million square foot concrete buildings 500 feet from my front door would have only been a nightmare. Well, it's 2017, and the way this world has turned into a world of greed is disgusting. The 135 acres that is up for annexation has had a farm crop planted there every year with corn or beans for the 39 years that I have been here. That land has been making money for the owner that leases it, for the farmer that makes money for it, and provides harvest and food for all of us. To say that that land is only useful now for two 1 million square foot concrete buildings that Mr. Hansen has stated is getting back to my point of greed. This is the parcel in question. This is a soybean crop ready for harvest in October. Surrounding this crop, this land, by a 1 mile radius is 246 houses, existing houses. If you times that times 3, that's 738 people. So to benefit the 3 members of the Smith family that will profit from this, you are going to devalue our property. That's 738 people versus 3. There is no real plan for what type of building will we put there. No one knows, or do they? Mr. Tonelli has a plat plan of two 1 million square foot concrete buildings that will look like this. Would you want this in your front yard? No. No. Now I'm going to refer to an article in a Joliet Herald News dated November 17th, where the Plan Commission meeting was on the 16th. The city staff analysis of the plan pointed out the conflict with the South Side Comprehensive Plan that was adopted in 2007, saying that industrial zoning would be precedent setting against the plan and create an industrial spot zoning. That means you're going to leave us isolated with these concrete buildings in the middle of subdivisions that contain 246 houses. The attorney, Michael Hansen, representing the Smith family that owns the land, said the plan is to market the property for 1 or 2 warehouses. There's no specific company lined up for the warehouses, he said. We believe the market is right now for the industrial users of this property, Hansen told the commission. This specific property is just not suitable anymore for residential. I'm referring now to a letter from the city manager, Mr. David Hales, dated December 11th to the mayor and city council. The planning staff has reviewed the proposal for annexation in relationship to the South Side plan and believes the residential is still viable in this area.
Sir, you have the 4-minute mark. You wrap it up, please.
I am?
Yep.
Okay, my wife will take over.
Thank you.
Karen Turdick.
So I'm the other half. I'm Karen Turdick, same residence, 19325 Quail Court. And with this, the planning staff has reviewed this proposal for annexation in relationship to the South Side plan, believe that residential is still viable in the area. At last night's meeting, Mr. Tonelli stated that residential is not viable in the area. It is dead, a statement that Mr. Hansen has also referred to. I put my faith in the planning status analysis. Planning Commission analysis. And we believe that all of us, 246 households, should be considered versus this another big industrial concrete building. Do you know what it's like? I live on a cul-de-sac and I come up out of my subdivision, and as I go to turn onto the main road to exit out, I have a semi coming down the street, a residential street, where I have my grandchildren and where my children grew up, and it was always safe. And do you know what it's like to come down Route 53 when it's dark out and it's snowing, and you've got a semi coming up behind you at 55 to 60 miles an hour, and I put my blinker on a fifth of a mile where the old farmhouse used to be on 53, where this property is in the middle of. And I put my blinker on because I want to turn into my subdivision. Do you know what happens? This semi comes barreling down my back so fast that I am so worried that I'm going to end up in a ditch because he's not moving over and there's no one in the other lane. Because we have no lighting out there. We have no turn lanes out there. We have nothing out there. You need to come out and see just what we, the people of Jackson Township, are dealing with every single day. I thank you for your time, and I appreciate your consideration in this matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Larry Walsh.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman, I appear before you again tonight. Thank you for the time last night, Mayor. I'm here, and I'm proud and honored to have the title of the Will County Executive. But tonight, I'm not here as the executive. I'm here as Larry Walsh, who lives at 18801 Brown Road, Elwood, Illinois, as a 69-year resident of Jackson Township. And I stand with my fellow township residents, many of them that have been here for a lot of years. I don't know if any of them been here more than 69 years, but if they are, I welcome them. Maybe Hank Soon's here, or whatever. So anyway, I appeared before you last night. I talked to each and every one of you on this issue and stated my concerns. And tonight I ask you, you have a very professional planning department in City Joliet, and the issue is that they have come up with a professional recommendation of not approving this. I ask all of you to recognize what my fellow residents in Jackson Township have already stated tonight, that I am supportive of all the development we can see and bring into Will County. If it's in the right place. And this request is not in the right place. The number of residents that have been there like 40 years, and actually just over the last 10 years, Joliet has come out and annexed and created a development, Cedar Creek, and you, as trustees, all councilmen and women, you have Joliet residents in Jackson Township. Don't let them down. This is not right for our area. It is not right for your development from Joliet. And I ask you to not approve this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you.
William Baker.
Good evening. This is my first time speaking at a council meeting, so excuse my nervousness. I'm here to echo what everyone else has been saying to you guys about the annexation of Route 53, the field there. As Mr. Walsh stated, that there is a newer subdivision that was built there called Cedar Creek. I live in that subdivision. I live at 207 Gladys Avenue. And it's a great neighborhood, and one of the best things that about it is I can walk out my front door and I have a nice retention pond to look out and two great fields to look at. You know, and I grew up in Joliet my entire life. I grew up off of Lairway Road on Silver Maple right there. I learned to hunt through there. I foraged through there. I built forts through there. Cornfields are a great thing for me. And to see that is comforting. What's happening to my community is these semis, they come through and, you know, in regards to the warehouse, there's going to be more semis. There's going to be more semi-traffic, more semi-drivers. They come through both entrances to Cedar Creek have signs posted that there is supposed to be no truck traffic. Two big signs visible clear as day. I stopped, one guy came into the turn lane today, a semi, and had his blinker on, and I gave him the finger rule, get out of here, you know. And he went on, but a lot of them don't. They say their GPS takes them right through there, regardless of signs, regardless of weight limits, regardless of neighborhoods, regardless of, there is no regard for the neighborhood. And I think that's what a lot of people here today are worried about, is the people that own that field don't live around here. The people that are sitting in front of you today, we all live around here, all right? The truck drivers that are coming in, more than likely they don't live around here, all right? We're here to protect our community and to make sure that people that don't live in Joliet, that have no interest in Joliet, that have no concern about Joliet, don't ruin Joliet and don't ruin our part of Joliet. So I ask that you guys be opposed to this annexation. The trucks have ruined our sidewalks. As people have stated, our kids can't play in the front yard because we've had trucks come, I live at a corner. So when they come in, and you can't see where to go, so they back up around. Our sidewalks are all indented because they don't stay on the road. When they back up, they drive over the sidewalks. They've driven through my yard. You know, my 5-year-old son's learning to ride a bike. You know, I can't imagine him veering off out of the driveway and having a semi come down the road and take him out. That's it.
Thank you.
Matt Robbins.
Good evening, Matt Robbins, 24757 South Sycamore Street in Elwood. As most of us are here tonight, we're here to protect our land value and for the safety of our families. Bottom line. We are speaking to you personally from our heart. We didn't go hire a lawyer to do our talking. We're here in front of you talking to you individually. Most of us have put our life savings into our home and our property. We don't have 138 acres to sell and make a profit off of. If we did, we might do the same thing, but we don't have that. We're here speaking to you personally. I keep hearing residential in this area is dead. 3 homes have been built across that piece of property in my neighborhood in the last year. Will it ever be 08 again? Probably not, but it might not be 08, it might not be like that anywhere. But we can't just all of a sudden get rid of it and not give the option. There's a right time and place for warehousing. To the west of the tracks that is spelled out in your master plan, but not with the traffic we already have on 53. How many more trucks and cars are we gonna add to this? We need to fix our roads and infrastructure first. You folks are making a very difficult decision tonight, but you're making a decision about our families' quality of life and safety. And for most of us that are here tonight, we can't even vote for you. We don't have a say in this except to come and voice our concerns. We just hope that you will do the right thing and keep our families safe as you would want your families kept. Please listen to the advisement of your staff and keep this residential. Thank you.
Paul Buss.
Paul Buss, Jackson Township Highway Commissioner, 18750 Breen Road. Mr. Mayor, councilmen and councilwomen. I'm an elected official, just as you are. And many times we have tough decisions to make, and that's not easy, and you have one. This is not just an annexation slash rezoning issue. Not a how much money can someone make off of this issue. And not a can we pick up a few jobs from this issue. This is now a moral issue about how it will affect all of our residents. City of Joliet residents, along with unincorporated Jackson Township residents. These residents don't deserve this. So I ask you, please, vote from your heart, and I will hope that that would be a no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on an agenda item? Yeah.
I'd like to speak again.
Lady in the red top.
Nancy Subar, and I am so nervous. I had no intention of talking. Okay, these are things that people haven't noticed, except for Mr. Robbins. And we have turnovers. We do get people into our subdivisions. We have houses in our subdivision, which is it's the first one. It's right there on Knoll Road. We're on the Jackson Township area. And we have 3 new people in this year alone in that subdivision. And now they're finding out about this. Who's going to come in? My daughter lives down in the one down toward Bridge Road. And she isn't happy with this. They took all their investments too. It is still a residential area. There's still people. Elwood is not just some town. It's a family. If you live in Elwood, you are concerned about everybody in that city, that little town. It is, your best friends are still those people who your kids went to school with, and their best friends are still the kids that they went to school with. We need these little communities that people can count on. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
My name is Scott Coveney. I live at 114 International Way, Joliet. Why are we even talking about this? I mean, Center Point, what was the point of that? The warehouses. There's like 30 to 40% capacity. Why are we building outside of that? Like my neighbor Bill said, you know, the semis go down our roads trying to, they don't want to wait at the line over there on Laraway, so they come cut up and down our roads constantly. I call the cops, they say, oh, well, we can't really do nothing about it, you know, we have other places to police. Well, hire another cop, put somebody out there. I mean, it's gonna bring our houses down, the semis, and the biggest one is Center Point. I mean, what's the point in that? That's for warehouses. It's empty, practically. I mean, there's so much more to build. Build it there, not in our communities. You know, there's kids on our street. I mean, there's families. It's just, I just don't understand it. So I just say, please vote against it. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Gloria Payne. I live right next door to Mr. Hicks, who spoke earlier in 19328 Knoll Road, and I spoke last month. And I just want to reiterate my concern is you're voting no to that project, and that when we were coming here tonight, and the police were out directing traffic by the warehouse there when you cross over Laraway Road. And I was really kind of concerned for the police officers because it's so dark. There's very little lighting and you can barely see them. But there was tons and tons of cars going out and coming in. And so at night, 53 is very dangerous. The semis, they don't have that much lighting on them either. And so you're taking your chances when you have to drive that road. And we always go into town using 53 on that road. Now, we moved to that area 23 years ago from Joliet. Why did we come out there? Because it was nice and peaceful. We wanted a nice, peaceful life for our children. And so that peace is being disrupted because of all the truck traffic and the warehouses that are being built that does not have any business being built in a residential area. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor and others, I got my timer going here so I don't go over. Like one of the gentlemen said before, this is my first time speaking before a council meeting. But I respectfully ask that you reject that. My name is Richard Payne. That was my wife just came up. I live at 19328 West Noel Road. And as she mentioned, I moved out to Elwood for the peace that was out there. I'm a Joliet boy. I grew up in Joliet, played basketball at Joliet Central. And I moved out there because I felt my sons would have a better education. And it was peaceful out there. We've taken the building of the racetracks. Some of the warehouses brought all kind of problems out there with the traffic, as many have talked about. And so it was a time where I can go out my back door and hear the crickets. But now it's not like that. And we pay good tax money for being out there. And you're in a very important position because you can ruin the life of myself and my neighbors, or you can vote against this annexation. And I know it's at times where government has voted in favor of the minority, the family that wants to sell. I've been around a while. I know it some years back, I might not have been able to move to Elwood. I'm one of the few blacks out there. But my neighbors have treated me wonderful. I've been a quiet neighbor. Most of them probably don't know me. But I thought I need to speak out on this issue here. And so they've done a lot of research. I haven't done that. I'm not going to try to sit here and make you think I've done all kind of research and whatever else. I haven't done that. But I lived with a lot of good neighbors. They've done research. So we ask that you please, in this case, do not vote with the minority. Vote with the majority of these ones who have put you in office and reject this annexation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Taylor Kwiatkowski, and I live at 3900 Stockton Drive. And I know for these, if you have pictures, you're supposed to blow them up really big, but I was at work and I actually had no idea I was going to be able to make it here tonight, so I don't have them. I have them on my phone if you guys want to look at them. But I live by the racetrack in Joliet, and October 2015, well, first of all, several times tonight, traffic has been like one of the major issues that have been brought up, higher semi-traffic and all of that, and I'm actually a personal victim of it. October of 2015, I actually rear-ended a semi because he had switched lanes abruptly, no one in front of him, no one behind him. We were the only two on the road, and cut me off, no turn signal, no nothing, and I slammed into the back of him. Thank God there was an off-duty paramedic who was behind me for the time being until police officers and everything had gotten there. And I got rushed to St. Joe's, and they did MRIs and CAT scans and x-rays just to make sure I was okay. I had gotten back to my emergency room, and the police officer was waiting for me for my ticket with the whole, you failed to yield and all that, which I understand, like, I should have been able to stop, but my car physically wouldn't stop. But yet, now I'm thinking, where's the semi-driver's ticket for switching lanes abruptly, not using a turn signal, endangering the safety of others? But yet, I got all those tickets too. And then, not to mention, when the police officer, he gave me all my tickets while I was in my hospital bed. He said if I was more than 5 inches over, I would not be alive today. So that was before the traffic was even bad. Now you're intending on building 2 more warehouses. If you build these 2, what's on top of the other 2? Are there gonna be 5 more after that or 10 more after that? I don't see there being a stop to any of this. And I have the pictures of my car accident if you guys wanna see them.
I think we're okay, thank you.
Do you wanna see them or no?
I think we're okay.
Okay.
How you doing? My name's Jerry Austin. I work for the city of Joliet, and I also live down, and I actually live in the Cedar Creek subdivision. I live in 404 Stockton. At the time when I was hired in Joliet, we had to live in the city, which is fine. That's not a problem. I've been a Joliet lifelong resident. That's not an issue. We moved in down there when it was Pasquinelli. They never elaborated exactly when they bought that, and there was going to be a bunch of warehouses down there, which is fine. I understand business. Me and my wife love the house. We've been there for 10 years, but we were looking at one point of selling our house, and just the property values of what we have into the house. It wasn't right time to move as far as the property values down there because of the truck traffic. There's been several times after I'm working a shift, I come home, I'm ready to go home. I go home, I'm on my way home, I have to end up making a traffic stop on one of these semi-tractors because the safety is off the charts. I mean, they go through the red lights, they cut people off, and I understand it. There's going to be progress. I understand there's going to be infrastructure, there's going to be traffic, you go on the highways, it's just how we handle our goods nowadays. I understand that, but it's just with more and more warehouses down there, and in a matter of 10 years, it's coming up on 10 years I've lived down there, I can just see the big difference. I mean, when they were doing the construction, repaving the road's great now, but when they were repaving it, it was a total mess, and there was very little options of getting to the city of Joliet, whether it be Brandon Road would be closed or 55 would be backed up, and I understand infrastructure and how it happens, but my children go to St. Ray's, and getting them back and forth to St. Ray's with all these trucks and infrastructure, I think if you put any more warehouses down there, it's going to be bad business, or somebody's going to seriously get hurt. We've always had that issue with Schweitzer Road. I know that there's been a few bad accidents there. Laraway and 53 is always a bad zone as well. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your consideration. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Judy Kreiser. I've been in front of this board several times already, having to deal with the truck traffic and the warehouses. My concern is the intergovernmental agreement that we had, I found out through the grapevine. The people that live on Vetter Road didn't even know about it. I was the only one to know about it today. And it's like, we have a right to know. There's 10 families on Vetter Road. We have a right to know what's going on. What is this, a big secret or something? You can't tell them people? There's 10 families on that road. I've lived there for 40 years. I have a right. They're talking about the Hobo Bridge. Okay, there's no reason for it, really, because the trucks that are coming down 53, they go to the truck stop. If they're going to put the bridge in, why not have it exit on Schweitzer Road? Not having the trucks go down Vetter Road. There's no reason. The Elwood trucks coming out of that intermobile are supposed to go down Arsenal Road, not down Vetter Road to the new Hobo Bridge. There's no reason for it. The trucks coming from on 53, they can go down 53. The trucks coming from the intermobile in Elwood should go down Arsenal Road. There is no real need for the Hobo Bridge. And there's no reason why we have to give up our families, our properties, so that they can use Vetter Road. There's just another entrance that there's no reason for. If you widen I-80, that's gonna be good enough to bring the truck traffic down on 50, going down to, they're gonna go over to the gas stations there on 53 because you people let them have the gas stations. It's very convenient there. And it's like, I don't think there is a reason why we have to give up our properties and stuff for something that is useless. You know, if you make the trucks go down Arsenal Road coming out of Elwood like they're supposed to, they wouldn't have to come down Vetter Road. And if you want to put the bridge in, have the trucks go down Schweitzer Road to Lair Way and to the Center Point Way. They do not have to go down our road. That's 10 families that don't know what's going on. You know, if you want to talk about it, you know, let the people on Vetter Road know what's going on.
Hello, I'm Kathy Garthis. You guys know me too, living over here on South 23656 West Schweitzer Vetter Road here. Like my ma had said, but she failed to, you know, I'll reiterate what Centerpoint and Union Pacific said when that Union Pacific Intermodal was built, that they said the trucks were gonna go left out of there, down to the new baseline, out to Arsenal Road, out to 55. That's why that road is all concrete. No trucks were to go down Laraway Road. And now they want to do this thing to take our parts of our land here and put it to where then the trucks widen Vetter Road, to where the trucks come down Vetter Road to go over this new Hobolt Bridge that you guys are so pushing for. I went down Hobolt Road the other day. At 3:12 in the evening, the traffic was backed up on I-80 west, well west of Hobolt Road. Now, if you put this Hobolt Bridge in, that's gonna mean these trucks are gonna be backed up on our road, stop to a dead still stop. Wanna listen to this?
How loud that truck is?
And that's just one truck coming down Vetter Road. That's one truck of the noise that it's gonna create. How much noise do you think a lot of trucks are gonna make nonstop? I have been complaining not only to Mike Hansen, but also to certain, you know, mayor and everybody about the noise just coming from this Mars Candy warehouse up at the end of Vetter Road. It's gotten to where I can't even sleep anymore at night. Me and my ma are out in the yard. We have to yell at each other. We're standing 2 feet from each other, and we gotta yell at each other just in order to hear each other. And you guys don't take that in consideration or don't want to do anything about it. And like the Illinois Pollution Board said, that you don't have no rights to be bringing all this noise and ruining people's lifestyles to what they have been used to. We've been out there for nearly 40 years, as Larry Walsh knows, as Larry Walsh has been in his community for over 60 years, and we appreciate the peaceful and quietness that we've had and being able to raise our families and have a peace of quiet to go to bed at night. But it's all been ruined over in our area, and now you want to ruin it even more by having Vetter Road widened just so you guys could do your Hobolt Bridge. Bring the trucks to where the remaining residents are. I don't think that's safe. I mean, if the trucks would go out like Centerpoint and Union Pacific said, go out to Arsenal Road, out to 55, to where the improvements have been already made. And then also you could build a road right straight from that interchange over there, I-55 and Arsenal Road, right straight to the BNSF yard over there in Elwood. Then all trucks go way over there and there's nobody living over there. But they say, oh, the environment, those animals have rights. If wildlife have rights. They have more rights than us, the human beings who pay taxes, who use the products that are in these warehouses. We are the ones that put the money in this state and in this government. Don't you think that we deserve more rights than wildlife here? I mean, why are you putting us down even below the wildlife to where they have more rights to peaceful and quietness than we do? I don't think that's right. And I don't think having more warehouses is made either. I've driven through way out there by Naperville the other day too. And all I see is warehouses through Bolingbrook, through Romeoville, through Joliet, through New Lenox, even Wilmington, everywhere in Will County. There's warehouses everywhere, and a lot of them, nearly half of them, are empty. There's warehouses that are moved.
Wrap it up, please.
There are companies that moved out of the Elwood warehouses just so they can move and get more tax-free. I mean, that's what they do. They stay in a place 4 years tax-free. Oh, my 4 years tax-free is up. I'm going to go move to another warehouse. Get 4 more years tax-free.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor and esteemed council members, I didn't come here to actually speak. I came here to my first city council meeting to see what was going on. My name is Larry Hasbrook. I live in Knoll Estates at 19635 West Ash, along with Matt Robbins, who spoke earlier. And he's right, we have had a beautiful neighborhood. People take care of their yards. It's a proud neighborhood. And we've got 3 homes being built this year. So to say that there's no room for residential or it's not important, that's not true. And I think concerning the traffic and the highways, I moved in 2011 and we would drive south of Joliet and it's like, oh wow, it's farmland, it's beautiful. And now all of a sudden there's warehouses popping up like mushrooms. It's ridiculous. And as many of the people who have already spoken, they're not even occupied. What's going to happen to the traffic when those are occupied, let alone building 2 more million square feet of warehouses? It's ridiculous. And I think Mr. Buss, the commissioner, or the highway commissioner, would tell you that, yes, it looks pretty on the surface now that it's been resurfaced, but underneath, the infrastructure underneath those roads is not built to take the traffic that's currently on there, let alone what's going to come when those other warehouses that are already empty get filled and start having traffic and employees running up and down 53. It's not right. And as I believe this gentleman said, one party is going to have a windfall to the detriment of 246 other households. I just think it's not fair, and I hope that you would deny this application, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, fellow councilmen. My name is Chris Hermer, and I live in the same subdivision as Larry and Matt. Each of you have gotten an email from me over the last couple days with a story about my daughter, a story about my father. The only thing I'm going to ask is, when you go to vote, think about if you'd want this in your family's neighborhood. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, change it up a little bit here. For the record, I want to talk about, John Sheridan, by the way, I want to talk about the annexation of the, or not the annexation, but the intergovernmental agreement with the state prison over there. For the record, I'm not opposed to the museum project. I've stated that before. Or I'm not even opposed to the repurposing of vacant land in Joliet. I'm a big proponent of that. But I believe this agreement with the city is heading down a very slippery slope. 170-acre facility surrounding the area with a whole lot of responsibility. City can barely make enough money to maintain a 64 square mile infrastructure. Our budget is 80% salaries and benefits. It does not leave a whole lot of money to do a lot of other projects. And as you're quite well aware, we got a whole lot of projects on the table. We talked about the bridge. We just talked about the courthouse today. Just broke ground for that. Ballpark, train station, and all these have cost overruns or will have cost overruns. That's just the way business works. The potential acquisition reminds me of Evergreen Terrace. There's more cons than pros. Actually, it reminds me of the Steven Spielberg movie Money Pit. It goes on to say that the city is to oversee commercial and residential development of the facility. A governmental agreement grants the city the use and possession of the property. Continues on, the city's desire to acquire the prison so it can begin the process of analyzing the potential for redevelopment and allow certain portions of the prison to be used by the public, unquote. I would think this would be done, could be done without leasing the prison for 5 years. I know you've tried to talk to them before, leaseways, you got doors open. If the state would cooperate with the city. Again, the prison is a money pit, and the city were to buy the property, because I think that's where you're headed, where are you gonna get the millions for demolition, asbestos removal, environmental hazard removal, et cetera, et cetera? What's it gonna cost to start up the water system, sewer treatment plant, keep that up and running? If the city has to do all the maintenance and need a repair and pay the utilities, does anyone have a projection of cost of these items? I think a business plan was asked for last night and I didn't hear anything about it. Do the two potential developers that Mr. Regis mentioned last night know they will be required to do maintenance? I have to assume one of them will be the Joliet History Museum, and I know they don't have that kind of money. Item number 9 clearly states the city shall be solely responsible for all maintenance repairs of the prison. Mr. Councilman Mudron, you were right on target. Nothing about a third party paying for it, nor does it say may pay for it. In item 15, the city has sufficiently inspected the prison prior to the execution of this agreement and made an independent assessment of the environmental and other conditions of the prison and accepts it in the present condition, unquote. When was this done? Last I remember, your selected tour of the facility was in all the buildings, and you weren't even allowed to take pictures. Now for the best part, item number 5, termination. It states this, should the state determine it in the best interest to sell the prison or use it for another purpose, the state may terminate this agreement any time given within a 30-day notice prior to the date of termination. But yet, the city is required to give a 12-month notice. I think it's a little lopsided. Also, key problem here, any improvements the city or anybody else makes to that property are not going to be reimbursed. If the state sells the facility, you're just out the money, investing in someone else's property. Again, it appears a little lopsided. Tonight, you would be voting on a document where you have to fill in the blanks. This is not exercising your fiduciary responsibility to taxpayers. And I'm asking the city council to vote no on the governmental agreement. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, City Council members. My name is Nancy Bartels, and I'm with the Knoll Estates subdivision, 4737 South Sycamore Street. And I had sent a petition to the mayor earlier last week with signatures from our association stating to vote no regarding the 138 acre zone from agricultural to industrial. And as numerous people have stated, our residents in our area do like living in Elwood. It is a nice community. We have had, like Larry had said, 3 new houses built in our subdivision after like almost 10 years of never having anything done. We've had so many people buy in our neighborhood. In the last year and a half, we probably had 10 new people with houses being sold and purchased, and our property values have increased. They have not decreased. So the houses that we have built were even kind of like over improved on our lots, so they weren't going to depreciate our value. And I would like to urge everyone to consider the future of this county, and please vote no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. My name is Quinn Adamowski, 520 Knox Place, Joliet, Illinois. I'm here to ask you to support the intergovernmental agreement with the state of Illinois regarding the Correctional Center. I, along with Greg Peerbolt from the museum, have been acting as co-chairs for the acquisition committee. We have had discussions upon discussions upon discussions with most of you to hear your concerns. We've had discussions with residents, we've had discussions with business professionals, tourism, you name it, we've had those discussions. The reality is that property really only has 3 options. The first option is to leave it alone, and that's basically what the state has done for the past 15 years. In the course of that time, there have been multiple fires, and the city's been on the hook to pay for putting those fires out, in addition to having police presence. Second option is to, as some people say, demo it. You're talking 27 buildings, 20-foot limestone walls with asbestos and lead abatement that would need to be completed before demoing it. I can't imagine the millions of dollars it would take to demo that property. And to me, it seems like an awful, awful waste of money to tear down something that could potentially be a community asset. So the third option is to look at it as an opportunity. I look at it as an opportunity. It has an international recognition. It's 180 acres, 140 acres of which could go to the Park District or the Forest Preserve in some capacity. You have a 40-acre plot of land with 27 buildings. And again, with international interest, that could potentially be used for tourism, could potentially be used for history education, live venues. There's multiple things that could be done with that. Now, the reality is when we formed this committee, there were just the two of us. And that was at the behest of the museum board. And I'm not speaking on behalf of the museum. I'm speaking on behalf of the committee. That committee of 2 is now a committee of 30, and we're continuing looking for new committee members. People on this committee are not people who are disinterested in the project. These are people who are extremely interested in the project. They see the promise there. We have business professionals, architects, community leaders, financial experts, and what we're trying to do is find a way to utilize this property in such a way that it is for the public trust. I'm not here to ask you to support this IGA because I think it's perfect or it's going to resolve all of our issues. The reality is you guys have been talking about this for months, and no IGA you come up with is going to satisfy everybody's needs. But this at least gives us, meaning the city, an opportunity to get in there to assess what can really be done, and in the short term, perhaps monetize it. There's an opt-out. It's in there. So if it turns into something that everybody says, well, we can't do this, then you can opt out and give it back to the state. This is not ownership, it's stewardship. And I'm not suggesting that it's a magical unicorn surrounded by rainbows. It's not. I'm not trying to sell you on that. But I think with the time that people who are on this committee are willing to put in, and with the time that others who've expressed interest
Your 4 minutes,
want
can
to
you
put
wrap
in
it up,
this,
please?
I feel it's the correct step to move forward and gain its access. Last thing I'll say is this is not a 6-month turnaround. This is not a year-long turnaround. This is a legacy project. This is a project that can go on for 20, 30, 40 years and really put Joliet on the map in a different way, utilizing a property that forever has been an albatross. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, City Council and Mayor. My name is Frank DiDomenico, and I live at 19649 West Ash Street, Elwood, Illinois, in Knoll Estates. I'm one of the newer neighbors that Nancy spoke of earlier. I've moved around quite a bit in my little 32 years of life. And back in high school, we moved out to Elwood, and I graduated from Joliet Central. I grew up in Joliet myself too for a little while. Made something of myself, and when my wife and I started a family 3 years ago, we chose to move to Elwood for some peace and quiet, and sank better part of our life savings into our home, which if you vote yes on this, you're going to destroy everything that we've worked for and totally depreciate our property values. And I'm crawling out from nothing at that point. So I just urge you to please consider that by approving this, like so many have said before, you're gonna improve the lives of 3 and destroy the lives of 246. So thank you.
Thank you.
there anyone else that would like to speak?
Hello, my name is Chris Turdick. I have 2 residences in Elwood. I was just wondering, Mr. Mayor, if you could tell me why Walter Strawn got closed off at the railroad tracks. It's because the trucks would not stop for the trains. Do you really think they're gonna stop for us residents in our vehicles? This is absurd to even drive up 53. I would love for you to drive to work every day to the north suburbs and try and contest with this traffic on 53. It's repulsive. And who's gonna pay, are they gonna pay taxes on these 2 buildings that are going in? 33%, my taxes are gonna go up and my home's gonna depreciate? You really think that's a great idea? It's disgusting. I would love for you to live out in that neighborhood and I could be in your position. I hope you make the right decision here. How would you like it if your son or daughter was driving up 53 and got hit or struck by a truck and it wasn't even their fault? I'm trying to raise a family in Elwood and this is what I got to deal with. You don't think I want to get out of the town? No, I think that stuff should be staying west of Brandon Road. Drive the road, see what you think before you add more to it. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. My name is Ron Agnich. Live at 24347 South Walnut Street in Knoll Estates. Grew up here in the area of Shanahan, went and recently retired from the service, moved back to the area, be back near family, friends, and moved out to Knoll Estates 2 years ago. And I could tell you, had I known what Elwood and what we're up against today, I probably would have chose a different place or maybe not moved back to the state of Illinois. I will say this, I drive every morning on 53 northbound, and I can tell you that north of Laraway Road, because of the poor planning for traffic flow, is pretty much a nightmare. There'll become a time, it's not if, it's gonna be when, there's an accident, somebody gets hurt. There's always 2 Joliet police officers out there directing traffic in the morning. You got a 2-lane road that actually goes down to 1 lane. You've got traffic coming southbound on 53. They're trying to make left-hand turns across the traffic to get into the warehouses. I think it's slightly irresponsible and also inconceivable that you could vote anything other than no when you go directly against what the planning committee has decided and what has recommended. I think you should put faith in the folks that are serving on that committee. I think there's been a lot of folks here tonight that have talked about, you know, their concerns, and they're all valid and relevant concerns. I think until something has a better plan for traffic flow, until there's something that can handle the trucks and look out for the safety of the citizens, it would be certainly irresponsible to build another warehouses out there when the current ones aren't currently being utilized. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Christian Herzog. I live at 19656 Noel Road. I probably share more frontage with this proposed property than anyone else, close to 500 feet. That's not the number I want to toss out. The number I want to toss out is 10,000. 10,000 is the metric in the intermodal industry that roughly corresponds to about 1 million square feet of warehouse. We're not talking 1 million, we're talking 2 million. You know, we're talking 20,000 containers a year. You know, when you think about that, that's hundreds of trucks every single day. One of my major concerns with this rezoning is this property is completely disjoint from the Center Point property. There is no way in and out except traveling up and down Route 53 there. You know, this sits directly between 2 residential areas. I know you heard a lot of this, you know, already before, including in, you know, a subdivision that's completely within the city of Joliet. You know, this is going to have a very substantial impact on people's life savings, which are poured into their houses. There's many of my neighbors down Noah Road who are going to be separated from this potential development by a berm that's shorter than the curtains hiding the wizard in the Wizard of Oz. You know, that didn't fool Dorothy, and this isn't going to help their investment, you know, in their homes. This is a huge transfer of wealth from those properties to the owners of this property that wish to rezone it. I think this is a poor choice in this application. I think that the plan that's considering this as residential is still sound. This is backed up by some of the new development that's already going on in this area, and I would urge you to not vote for this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing no one else in line to speak, we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a motion to appoint Councilman Girl to serve as Mayor Pro Tem for the term January 1st through March 31st, 2018?
So moved. Second?
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin?
It has been my pleasure to serve. This is my shining hour. to give John the gavel. I vote aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
I guess.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council committee reports, Economic Development Committee report.
The Economic Development Committee met on December 14th, last Thursday, here at City Hall at 5 p.m. There were 2 items on the agenda, one of which will be of interest to virtually everybody in the chambers tonight. The first one, we discussed a sales tax rebate agreement with what's called Joe Hawk or Hawk dealerships. And that is to move I get them all confused, we're going to keep the Subaru on Jefferson, and we're going to move the Volkswagen and the Mazda, that's it. And actually, no promises, it was stated by a representative of Hawk that he's looking for a third, brand new. You know, names that popped up were even on a wish list, what do you call it, Volvo. So it essentially is a 15-year agreement with a $3.5 million cap. The first year is 70% tax rebate, the second year is 60%, and the third year is 50%. That's in 5-year intervals. The media kind of didn't give the whole story when they said it was similar to Romeoville's. We're doing this, frankly, because our neighbors to the north are creating a market that's a race to zero, to be frank. So we have to protect the dealerships we have and keep them here. And the number thrown around by those up in Romeoville were 8 million. And I think the media can grasp that. There's a huge difference between 3.5 million cap and 8 million. That's not similar. So this, did get a unanimous vote for approval, and it will be on I think the 19th of January?
January 2nd.
2nd, okay. It'll be on there January 2nd, and it's necessary. Therefore, since it's necessary, we can solve it, it'll be a good solution. And, I do want to say in defense of the dealerships too, they didn't ask for 8 million. They asked for what they needed to make the move over to Essington. So the other item on the Economic Development Committee agenda was something called a tax rebate agreement with Speedway out by Emerald and 53. And they're going to be opening up a large gas station. Actually, they described it as the largest project they've ever done as a mid-sized chain. And as part of that, as I said last night, there will be a complete working stoplight installed at Emerald and 53. Originally, it was going to be done with that's why we're changing the reason we're changing the tax rebate agreement is it was going to be done for a certain amount of money, and they were going to collect what they paid. They're going to pay up front to do it, what they paid for the improvements for the streets that are required, the improvements for the stoplight, and the state had granted us, awarded us a grant. And then after everything was brought together, the state said, well, no, you can't use temporary lights. Temporary being they can go up a lot sooner, ultimately replaced by permanent lights. So we kind of just pushed the state out of the way, and we're going to eat the $700,000 on cost by extending this tax agreement. It's a good project, and a lot of folks that live in that area, that's why I know there's a lot more that we have to address with the traffic, but that's kind of one down and many more to go. But one down, the Emerald, we get a lot of feedback in the last couple of days, and even before that, about the Emerald intersection there with 53, and that will be a fully functioning all four corners stoplight. And again, that one was approved for recommendation to the full council unanimously and positively. And that was it for our meeting. And in attendance, and I apologize, on the committee is myself, Councilman Mudrin, and Councilman Morris. And in attendance was Kendall Jackson and Steve Jones, and from staff. Was there anybody else there, Steve? Do you remember? No. Okay. And that's my report for tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Finance Committee report.
Mayor, the Finance Committee comprised of Councilman Girl, Councilman Mudrin, and myself met this evening at 5:30. Agenda pull up to review the monthly finance reports, personnel summary, travel expense report, invoices paid. Found them all in order, recommend their approval. We also had a brief presentation by the firm. I hope I don't butcher the name too bad, but it's Linebarger, Coogan, Blair, and Sampson. And they are on our agenda tonight to be awarded a contract to collect city debts, these fines that are on in arrears. We deal with a lot of major cities. I think Chicago, one of them. Their collection rate is excellent, and hopefully they'll be able to recover parking fines and other fines that are owed to the city. That's it, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Public Service Committee report.
The Public Service met here at City Hall today at 4 p.m. On the committee is myself, Councilwoman Gavin, and Councilman Dickinson. In attendance was a slew of city employees from water, sewer, so I won't list them all. We even had the finance guy out there today. We had everybody. It was a big doings. For the most part, it was contracts, standard contracts, change orders, pay estimates, final payments that we did find to be in order, and we're all set forward with a recommendation for approval. I would point out that under ordinance and resolutions, we did discuss the resolution authorizing acceptance of a dedication for the Ketone Hobolt Road Boulevard extension rights of ways, if I remember correctly. And again, this is just one of the first steps in actually bringing the bridge to fruition, even though a lot of people keep saying it's not going to happen. In my committee, it's happening. With the city, it's happening. With the county, it's happening. With the state, it's happening. And once we get that bridge up, we can corral traffic and funnel up there, as well as funnel to 55, if we have the cooperation of all policing agencies and municipalities. And then maybe at that point, the state and the federal government will step up and do what they need to do as we funnel that traffic properly to widen I-80, to widen and improve 53. I mean, it's a multi-jurisdictional task to solve this problem. And that's what we had on our agenda today, and it all came forward with a unanimous vote for recommendation for approval, and that's my report, Mayor. Thank you.
I show no other reports. Under consent agenda, approval of the minutes. It's recommended the minutes of the pre-council meeting held on December 4th, the council meeting held on December 5th, and the minutes of the special council meeting held on December 13th, 2017 stand approved as recorded. Invoices paid report. It's recommended this report be received and placed on file. Council Memo 670-17, regular payroll for October 13th through the 26th, 2017, $3,238,318.96. Council Memo 671-17, regular payroll for October 27th through November 9th, 2017, $3,216,758.93. It's recommended said regular payrolls be approved. Council Memo 672-17, position vacancies. It's recommended the city manager be authorized to fill 3 police patrol officer positions. And Council Memo 696-17, award a contract for debt collection services. It's recommended this item be approved. Is there a motion to approve said consent agenda items?
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Motion carried. Under licenses and permit applications, Council Memo 674-17, denial order of a Class C liquor license at 2155 West Jefferson Street, Joliet Market. It's recommended a resolution be approved denying the transfer of a Class C liquor license.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve a resolution denying a Class C liquor license for Joliet Market located at 2155 West Jefferson Street. Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
No.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Motion carried 7-1. The Class C liquor license was denied. Council Memo 675-17, transfer of a Class A liquor license for 670 East Jackson Street, Los Tres Hermanos. It's recommended the transfer of a Class A liquor license for Los Tres Hermanos located at 670 East Jackson Street be approved.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Woman Coleman?
I know I had some concerns about this last night, but after talking to the district council person, I'm going to agree with her and I'll vote aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 676-17, transfer of a Class B liquor license for 2450 West Jefferson Street, Bookie McGee's. It's recommended the transfer of a Class B liquor license for Bookie McGee's located at 2450 West Jefferson Street be approved.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 677-17, transfer of a Class C liquor license for 2405 Essington Road for 7-Eleven. It's recommended the transfer of a Class C liquor license for 7-Eleven located at 2405 Essington Road be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Been motion seconded to approve. Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Motion carried. Under public hearings, Council Memo 679-17, annexation of 138.5 acres at the southwest corner of Route 53 and Breen Road, classification to I-1 light industrial zoning, and approval of an annexation agreement. This is a public hearing, so anyone who would like to speak on this matter who hasn't already done so may make comments at this time.
Is there anyone who'd like to address the council?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. It's been a long evening so far, so I'll try and keep my remarks brief. My name is Mike Hansen, Joliet attorney. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, the Smith Family Providence Bank Trust. The question here this evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, is what's the highest and best use for this property? We're going to have a little bit of a disagreement here with respect to the city staff. The city staff is relying on an outdated 2007 comprehensive plan that since that time, as everyone recognizes, two major events have occurred. Number one, the intermodal, Union Pacific coming to the area, and probably more importantly, number two, the recession. Those specific factors have greatly implemented and affected that comprehensive plan. I would submit to you, to everyone here on the council today, that lends to the fact that this is not a residential area. This is a industrial area. You've heard the testimony yesterday of Rod Tonelli, who happened to do the comprehensive plan 10 years ago. 10 years has changed. A lot has happened in this city, in this area, in 10 years. I believe Mr. Tonelli presented the facts, the substantiation for the fact that this area is in fact an industrial area. And we're talking about this specific piece of property. In addition,
Excuse me.
in addition, we had the testimony at the Plan Commission meeting of the realtors indicating that there is no market for residential in this area. Now, the biggest factor about this specific fact is where this property is located, right on Route 53. And I thought it was rather ironic that just literally a few minutes ago, Councilman Hugg happened to mention the answer, if you will, the answer at this point with respect to this whole situation about trucks on 53. It's the fact that we must get the Humboldt Road Bridge built. We must get that bridge built. The truck traffic and then is going to get, a lot of the truck traffic will get off of 53 onto the Humboldt Road Bridge, and thereby alleviating a lot of these issues and concerns on Route 53. I think everybody is aware of that. That's been the goal of this council. I think it continues to be the goal of this council to help this whole entire area. Talking about truck traffic, everybody's aware of truck traffic, but nobody happens to know the specific statistics concerning truck traffic. We have those statistics. Everybody knows that we proposed two 1 million square foot buildings. Those buildings combined are estimated to produce 1 truck every 5 minutes, 12 trucks an hour, 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, 120 trucks a day. Right now, Route 53 has 15,000 vehicles per day. It's been mentioned that this 138 acres should be a residential area. If that residential area was fully built out, it would produce 3,500 vehicles a day, okay? Not trucks, but vehicles a day. So I would submit that that statistic alone is potentially more endangering at this point. In addition, let me also state to the council that we have worked with the city staff and with members of the council with respect to an annexation agreement. In situations of this nature, it's very important that there be a contract between the city and the developer, the landowner, to provide for specific safeguards and other provisions to not only protect the neighboring property owners, but also to abide by city rules and ordinances. We have followed all the city rules and ordinances. We have provided in the agreement that there be no truck traffic on Bridge Road, no truck traffic on No Road. Also this afternoon, we also sent a letter to Kendall Jackson, your planner, indicating that we are going to ban truck traffic on Breen Road. Another matter that we put in a letter this afternoon, in an answer to a request from neighboring property owners, is that the south part of our property, we had a proposal for a 75-foot buffering area with a 3-to-1 berm that was estimated to be 8 to 10 feet. We have lengthened that buffer area to 175 feet, and we have increased the berm area to 15 feet in height. On top of the berm, of course, will be trees, will be fences, and we're trying to do the best we can to provide cover between the buildings that would be built and the residents that live there. This, in fact, will match the current buffering area that is currently in existence in Shorewood at the Mound Road / Route 59 frontage road area, where, as I think all the members of the council are aware, there coexists 2 large industrial buildings right next to 2 major subdivisions. I think everyone in the council is aware that there are many areas in the city of Joliet and the surrounding areas, such as the one I just mentioned, the one on Humboldt Road, across from Joliet Junior College. There's also an area right up the street on 53 at Laraway Crossings that coexist, in which residential and industrial happen to coexist. And I'd like to make one further comment that again that I have not heard mentioned here in all of the discussion points, and that is the economic benefits of this particular project. A lot of jobs are at stake here. Local union construction jobs are a prime example. Jobs that will be provided for with respect to these buildings. In addition, tax dollars, an estimated over $1 million in real estate taxes to be paid to the schools, the city, and other governmental entities. That is my remarks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
7 to 8 minutes. I got caught up at 4 minutes.
Mr. Hansen's not making a public comment. He's the lawyer representing the party with this property.
So I could have came up.
That's correct. You have a comment you'd like to make to the council?
To finish my.
Please step up to the microphone if you want to make a comment, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dave Turdick, 19325 Quail Court, Elwood, Illinois. Where I left off my statement was that the planning staff has reviewed this proposal for annexation in relationship to the South Side plan and believes that residential is still viable in the area. At last night's meeting, Mr. Tonelli stated that residential in this viable area is dead, a statement that Mr. Hansen has also referred to in the past Plan Commission meeting. I put my faith in the Planning Commission and their analysis. The administration has recommended to the mayor and the city council to deny this annexation request. Last night at the pre-council meeting, Councilman Larry Huggs stated that it's looking like the Humboldt Bridge to the center point will start in the spring. That will cause center point that is under 50% capacity to become what the city council projected in its concept of all traffic concentrated in one area, and this access bridge will make center point reach full capacity. That will cause a need for housing for the workers, and Cedar Creek is less than 10-minute drive from there. And what's better than having a 10-minute drive to work? And there is plenty other undeveloped area over there that's residential that can become residents. And the 135 acres in question is 15 minutes away. If you approve this annexation, then us 246 homes surrounding the 138.5 acres, our houses will be dead, because who is going to buy a house next to these buildings? It is such a great sight to see the seeds that were planted in the spring being harvested in the fall on this 138 acres. And I hope to see that there for the rest of my life and my children and grandchildren's life. I urge you to please keep our property values and not take our property values away for the wealth of 3 other people. We're talking about 738 people that live in a 1-mile radius of this area. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've got a little bit more to say here. Now, we just heard about these jobs all coming in with the new warehouses. Yes, the operating engineers and your laborers, they're unions. The people that put up the welders, your iron workers, your electricians, they're all unions. Can anybody tell me, once these warehouses are up, how many of those warehouses are going to hire somebody that makes a living wage? Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Mayor, Councilman, I'll let you go after this, but I'd like to say in regards to the attorney, 15 feet high berm, I'm telling you, as well as I'm standing here, he could make it 20 feet high. And I am going to see, all my neighbors are gonna see them buildings. Even if you put trees on top of them, you're gonna see the buildings. It's not what you would wanna wake up to. It's not what we wanna wake up to. Please vote no.
Also, in regards to what the attorney had to say, he said that the trucks will not be allowed to be on Breen Road, will not be allowed to be on Bridge Road, will not be allowed to be wherever they're not supposed to be. Center Point is considerably way bigger and probably better run than what these two warehouses will be, and they can't stop the trucks from going where they're not supposed to go. So these empty promises and all these great, we're putting trees up, and it's all BS. And it's just told to you guys to get you to think that they're trying their best. They don't care. Once that warehouse is up, them trucks will go wherever they want to go to get in and out of there. They will tear up whose yard they want to get in and out of there. They'll run whoever off the road. They'll cut across 53 and they'll stop both lanes of traffic and sit there until they can get out. And that warehouse and whoever's running that warehouse, and that, I guarantee you that attorney will not be out there and will not care what them trucks are doing.
Let the record show the public hearing is now closed.
I would make a motion to approve the ordinance approving the annexation of 138.5 acres at the southwest corner of Route 53 and Breen Road.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve an ordinance approving the annexation of 138.5 acres at the southwest corner of Route 53 and Breen Road. Councilman Turk.
I just have a couple comments before I cast my vote. I just want to say that I know for a fact that Mayor Odekirk and the members of this council have all put a lot of thought into this, into how they're going to vote tonight. I have not been called by the mayor or any member of this council asking me to vote a certain way. I haven't called the mayor or any other person on this council asking me to vote a certain way. So I really believe each individual council person is going to vote their conscience. And I think I respect that, and I respect that everybody has their own opinion and own chance of doing that. You know, about a month ago, I started getting some calls from people in the area of 53 and Breen Road. Some were in the city, some were not. And then about a week ago, I started getting calls from people who were pro the annexation and rezoning. And I made a commitment how I was going to go on this project after studying all the facts. And all my years in public office, I've always honored my commitment, and I vote no.
Councilman Dickinson?
I vote no.
Councilwoman Gavin?
This has been one of the, since I've been on this council, this has been one of the most difficult decisions that I have had to make. Looking at everything and hearing your concerns, I came to this council on the back of quality of life for families, for individuals, and safety. This, to me, is one of the toughest things I'm going to have to say in this. But I am going to vote aye.
Oh, last term, so much for safety.
Excuse me. There's a vote taking place. Please refrain from commenting. Thank you.
Councilman Girl?
Yes, I too want to thank everybody for coming out. I appreciate Councilman Turk's comments and Councilman Gavin's comments as well. I think going through the the hearing yesterday and the workshop and also the public comments here today, also taking into consideration as Mr. Hanson had mentioned earlier, the changing market, not only in that area but the area throughout the city of Joliet. The comprehensive plan, which was developed in 2007, certainly things have changed in the last 10 or 11 years with respect to that. So therefore, I'm going to vote aye.
Councilman Hug?
I'm not going to belabor the point. It's a very emotional issue. You don't need me to tell you that. But it's my job or my oath up here to approach it logically. And I'm not going to walk people through it. I've talked to a lot. I think there's about 10 or 12 people in here that called me. And of course, I've returned every call and explained to them, if they were interested, what my logical approach to this was. And because of that logical approach, I will vote aye.
Councilman Morris?
Well, it's been a lot of thought put into this by myself, as Councilwoman Gavin said, almost 6 years of sitting here on the council. This has to be in my top 5 of difficult decisions. It probably shouldn't have been, but there's a lot of issues on both sides. And again, I thank you all for the residents for the time spent in sharing with us. I think one thing has been brought to light, that there is a need, and it's been talked about before, the concern of safety, the truck traffic, and I know Chief Benton and his staff has tried to do their best. Even before, I don't know which way this is going to go, but even before these warehouses are built, there's already a problem that needs to be addressed. And I know Attorney Hanson has talked about the truck's not going to be on certain roads. And again, as one of the speakers said, that's going to be hard to do. But we first of all, we need to try to tackle that issue even before, if this passes or not, to go through. But I guess, as even as late as this afternoon, I spent some time out in the area and talking to a couple of residents, and at that point was kind of feeling, their pain. And I still feel the pain that they have, but, then looking over the notes and, the comprehensive plan is somewhat outdated to where we are at today. Looked at some other areas in the surrounding areas that's similar with residential and industrial sites, and talked to some of those residents, and they, it is what it is. Some, don't like it. Some, came after the sites was built. Again, I just like for us to, again, to address the safety problem immediately, regardless of which way this goes, as well as updating our comprehensive plan, because I think a lot of that has to do with where we at today. But at this point right now, I have to vote aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
No.
Councilwoman Quillman?
It's all been said. I agree with every one of my council members up here, and have to vote aye.
Motion carried. 5-3. The property was annexed. Next, we need a vote on the classification of the property to I-1 zoning.
People who don't care about the safety or the kids, I'm leaving.
Another vote for you, Dan.
I hope you all get voted out. You're all a bunch of freaking snakes.
Need a motion on the classification to I-1 zoning.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve an ordinance approving the classification of 138.5 acres at the southwest corner of Route 53 and Breen Road to I-1 zoning. Councilman Dickinson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
No.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
No.
Motion carried 6-2. This is a resolution approving an annexation agreement of 138.5 acres at the southwest corner of Route 53 and Breen Road.
So moved.
In motion and seconded to approve an annexation agreement for 138.5 acres at the southwest corner of Route 53 and Breen Road. Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
No.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Which one is this now?
This is the annexation agreement.
Oh, okay, no.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Motion carried 6-2. The next public hearing is Council Memo 680-17, an annexation of 30 acres located at 3800 West Mound Road, classification to I-1 zoning, and approval of an annexation agreement. This is a public hearing, so comments are in order at this time.
Is there anyone who would like to address the council on this issue?
Seeing none, let the record show that the public hearing is closed for this item. We do need a motion to approve Council Memo 680-17, which includes a resolution approving an annexation agreement of 30 acres located at 3800 West Mound Road, an ordinance approving the annexation of 30 acres located at 3800 West Mound Road, and an ordinance approving the classification of 30 acres located at 3800 West Mound Road to I-1 zoning.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 681-17 is a public hearing regarding an annexation of 1311 New Lenox Road, classification to R1 zoning, and approval of an annexation agreement. It is recommended this item be tabled. However, we would like to hold the public hearing this evening.
It's a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the council on this issue?
I'll say it again, please vote no. If you do, you're gonna destroy another neighborhood. You wanna make it through the road tonight? Please.
Sir, if you want to address the council, please approach the microphone. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the next round.
Please. We're concerned about 5 acres. I can't, on north of Route 6. Again, like I've said before, we're all for what Silver Cross is doing. I commend them for what they're doing at the present time to the old campus. Please, stop this insanity. Don't make it 2 for 2 tonight and ruin 2 neighborhoods. Please vote no on this annexation request. Whenever you decide to do it, vote no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let the record show that this public, oh, sure.
First of all, I would like to remind the council of its oath of public office, which is actually a contract with the people. You say that you're going to support the Constitution to the best of your ability. Article 1, Section 1 of the Constitution of the State of Illinois makes it very clear that people have life, inalienable and inherited rights, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. You think about the different forms that happiness takes and liberty takes. It seems as though that you would be more or less violating the part of the contract, which via your oath of office, to do contrary to what these people's happiness happens to be. I think you all should take that into consideration in terms of, you owe a duty not just to the voters who are the actual members of this corporation, but you also owe a duty to these other people also, and to do something contrary to their pursuit of happiness would really greatly violate, your oath of public office, which is the contract that you have with the people. So think about that, because the people can very well dissolve this corporation. And if the people are pushed far enough, they will do that, and everything will stop. So I think you all should think about that, because It only takes 10% of the number of people that voted in the last election to have a special referendum on the ballot to call for the dissolving of the municipality known as Joliet. And we can start things all over again. So we all should take that in consideration. And also, I don't know any of these people that are affected personally, but keeping in mind, you owe these people a legal duty based
1311
upon
New Lenox Road, is that what your comments are about?
the issue that's on beforehand, us right now.
All right, that's the public hearing on 1311.
Yeah,
New
that's
Lenox
what
Road.
I'm speaking on.
Okay.
All right? Your legal duty that you owe these people based upon your oath of public office to support the Constitution of the state of Illinois. Article 1, Section 1, inherited inalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And if you're going to interfere with these people's pursuit of happiness, then you're violating the contract that you, via your oath. And to do that would mean that you're not really standing on your public oath of office.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on the annexation of 1311 New Lenox Road? Seeing none, let the record show that this public hearing is now closed. It is recommended that Council Memo 681-17, which is the annexation of 1311 New Lenox Road, the classification to R1 zoning, and the approval of an annexation agreement be tabled to the February 20th, 2018 council meeting.
Second?
Been motioned and seconded to table Council Memo 681-17 to the February 20th, 2018 council meeting. Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson. Councilwoman Gavin. Councilman Girl. Motion carried. Ordinances and resolutions. Under ordinances, Council Memo 682-17 is an annexation of 8 parcels near the former Silver Cross Hospital located at Maple Road and Hubbard Street, classification to RB, restricted business zoning, and approval of an annexation agreement. This includes the resolution approving an annexation agreement, an ordinance approving the annexation, and an ordinance approving the classification of 8 parcels to RB zoning. It's recommended said resolution and ordinances be approved.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson. Councilwoman Gavin. Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 683-17, ordinances for the levy and assessment of taxes for 2016 Special Service Areas Neighborhood Improvement Program. It's recommended said ordinances be adopted.
So moved.
Second?
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 684-17, ordinances for the levy and assessment of taxes for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2017 and ending December 31st, 2017, in and for the 1996 Joliet Special Service Area Number 14, Joliet City Center, and 2009 Joliet Special Service Area Number 7, Park Hill Subdivision. It's recommended said ordinances be adopted.
So moved.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin. Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 685-17, ordinances for the levying and assessment of taxes for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2017 and ending December 31st, 2017, in and for the city of Joliet, including the Joliet Public Library. It's recommended said ordinances be adopted.
So moved.
Motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 686-17, ordinance approving the 2018 annual budgets for the city of Joliet, the Joliet Public Library, and the Foreign Fire Insurance Board. It's recommended said ordinances be adopted.
Second?
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
I will make, I actually missed my opportunity. I had asked the Rialto.
You want to redo?
Yes.
Rescind.
If somebody be willing, yeah.
Can we have a motion to rescind this and start again?
Is there a motion to rescind the,
I'll take back my motion.
so it's the motion to approve the 2018 annual budgets for the city of Joliet, the Joliet Public Library, and the Foreign Fire Insurance Board was rescinded by Councilman Girl.
Okay, prior to moving to the budget motion, I would make a motion to separate out the Rialto funding, the gift to the Rialto, and vote on it separately.
There's a motion on the table to approve the 2018 annual budgets for the city of Joliet, the Joliet Public Library, and the Foreign Fire Insurance Board with a separate vote on the Rialto funding.
Right.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to vote on the 2018
You're gonna vote on the Rialto funding.
separately.
Separately, right.
Got it,
Okay.
Right, you're
So
just
it would be, got it.
allowing for the vote.
Right.
Okay, so I want to understand. So we first need to approve that we'll vote on it separately, and then we'll take a vote on the budget without the Rialto, and then we'll take a vote on the
Including
Rialto
Rialto
funding separately. Okay. So the motion on the table is to pass the motion on the table is to approve the budget minus the Rialto funding.
Correct.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
No.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Now, what are we voting on?
Approve the budget. The Rialto's gonna be voting on
I'm kidding, aye, I wanted to break the ice, okay, aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Motion carried. So the second vote would be on the Rialto funding, to approve the Rialto funding for 2018.
So moved.
Second.
The motion seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
No.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Motion carried 7-1. Council Memo 687-17, ordinances proposing the establishment of the 2018 Special Service Areas 1 and 2. It's recommended said ordinances be adopted.
So moved. Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Motion carried. Under resolutions, Council Memo 689-17, a resolution authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Joliet, the Illinois Department of Corrections, and the Illinois Department of Central Management Services regarding the Joliet Correctional Center. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
Prior to the vote, I think there's some questions that were pending from last night. If, Mr. Regis, if you could approach and maybe address those issues.
Thank you, everyone. Hello. There was a few questions were brought up last night, and I looked into them today. One question was about our insurance carrier. We spoke with our insurance carrier again today, and they gave us a preliminary indication that this would be added at no additional cost to the city. They are currently reviewing the agreement that council has, the intergovernmental agreement, and that's where it's at right now. There were questions regarding the city's maintenance obligations, and I did mention last night that the agreement does not specifically impose obligations on the city in so much as it relieves the state of their obligations. Now, if the city did choose to take on certain projects within it, those would be our projects and solely our projects. We could not look to the state for aid in maintaining or correcting those projects. And I wanted a little bit of clarification along with the council, and I spoke with the chief counsel of CMS, Central Management Services, this morning, and I asked her, I said, well, what's the standard for maintenance obligations? You certainly understand it's a facility in disrepair. You certainly don't expect us to go in there and just start fixing everything to run it like it was. And she indicated to me that the language that's in the intergovernmental agreement is boilerplate language that they always use, and the standard that CMS uses for maintenance obligations is better performance on maintenance than the state has provided. And we all know that the state has provided zero maintenance whatsoever for that facility for the past 15 years. And my hypothetical to CMS was, so if we cut the grass, you would be happy with that. And she indicated that is more maintenance than the state provides. So yes, you would be maintaining it in a better condition than the state has, and that is performance under the intergovernmental agreement. Are there any other questions?
Yes. Thank you, Chris. Just one quick thing here. I know the comment was raised earlier in public comments, but with respect to the cities, I mean, this is an intergovernmental agreement. We are not acquiring the Collins Street Prison at this point in time.
You are correct, sir.
Second, with respect to our liability, you know, we know we've had some fires out there. If, for example, another building were to catch on fire and need to be demolished, it would not fall upon the city to have to rebuild or repair that particular building.
Absolutely not, no.
Thank you.
It's important to remember, like Councilman Girl mentioned, the city is not acquiring the prison. We are acquiring the right to use the prison for however we see fit. If we see fit to never touch it and leave it sit just like it has been, then that's how it is. What this is doing is creating the opportunity to work with third parties in order for them to go in there. The city council, you all certainly have the budget, you certainly all looked at it. There is no money in there for this project. So even if we wanted to go in there and rebuild it and start throwing money into what some people have called a money pit, it's not there. It's not going to happen. All we're doing is partnering with private entities to go in there and try to redevelop a blighted area within the city and try to make something good out of what's been a negative for far too long in a forgotten about corner of the city. And that's why we're doing this today. Are there any other questions?
Yes. The other major question that wasn't addressed, I don't know if you have it yet, was a solid plan to secure and for security and what the cost would be.
The Joliet Police Department was out there today, and I certainly explained to the crime prevention officer this morning, once again, there is no money into this. Find the lowest cost solution and what we can do and make a tiered approach, and we'll see what we have to do from there. So I will tell you that over the past months, we know that DOC has been out there since the last fire, and they have made significant improvements in the physical security around the perimeter. So it will be up to us to regularly inspect that and maintain the integrity of it. But once again, that is something that we are going to have to look into. That's a fair question.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
I do have one, just if you don't mind. You know, Mr. Sheridan brought up the fact about the 12-month, 1 month. Why would the state want to come back after 1 month unless we were going to fix it up and then they said, okay, we want it back? Is that how the agreement's going to read?
The agreement reads, and please tell me if I'm wrong because you have it in front of you, you may, that if they decide they want to sell it to another party, totally unrelated to us, then that's where the 30-day rule kicks in. Otherwise, the 12-month rule is still present. We both have a 12-month cancellation clause. If the state finds a buyer for the whole thing, then they can get it within 30 days from us.
Okay, all right, thank you for the explanation.
And I would add, you know, we went down to Springfield and met with several state agencies about this. And it was made pretty clear, my understanding was also part of the meeting, the state does not want any part of this.
They want nothing to do with this.
Okay.
Questions?
Thank you.
If I can comment before the vote, I had a real spirited debate about this with one of my colleagues on the council a week ago. I agree with what the Inspector General said regarding this being a blighted property.
in a remote corner of the city, meaning remote on the east side of Joliet. This has been sitting vacant for 15 years. It looks horrible. It's in an entranceway into the city. And, it's been said before, and I agree, if this was at Jefferson and Larkin or on Theodore Street, like a gas station, people would be outraged that the city and the state has done nothing to try to improve this area. So I think this is a very intelligent agreement. It's a very measured step forward. We are not trying to buy the prison or maintain ownership. What we are doing is taking control. Where clearly the state has failed in maintaining that property, try to bring it up to a reasonable standard and working with other entities to maximize the use of the prison, including, the museum obviously is in the picture. There's private money that's already come forward and wants to invest in this. So I think it's, again, a good measured step forward. Kind of dipping our toe in the water to see what can be done there. But I do think we owe it to the neighborhood and to the residents around there to do something to try to clean up that area. And I will say, I took a shot at the state, but in all fairness, Senator Pat McGuire and Representative Larry Welsh Jr., along with the other members of the Count Street Task Force, are also in favor of this and pushing this forward, and I thank them for their partnership. I think everybody involved thinks that we can do better, the city can do better with what's on that property, and I think this is the first step towards doing that.
Is there a motion to approve a resolution authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Joliet, the Illinois Department of Corrections, and the Illinois Department of Central Management Services regarding the Joliet Correctional Center?
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug?
Chris, thank you for finding out what information you could, which unfortunately what's available to you does not answer all the questions. It is a very open-ended commitment. I find no solace in the fact that we have no money in the budget for security, because it will be our responsibility for that 5 years to secure it. If we don't secure it because we have no money in the budget and people are able to break in, get injured or die, then it falls back on liability. I think my colleague up here, both in insurance and as Councilman Mudden, will tell you preliminary approvals are non-binding. What they're going to want to do is they're going to want to go on that premise and see the premises before they give a final approval. They can't do it until the state lets them in, which means after we make a commitment. That's the cart before the horse, folks. We're taking on responsibility, and we're going to have I don't know what portion. It's just so nebulous. A portion being run by the Historic Museum that does not have the money and has its own budget deficit right now. And I know having, serving interim on there, is it 80,000, I believe? Or is it down to 60? 50,000. So, there's a $560,000 or $600,000 budget that's 10% in arrears. I don't see what they can bring to the table. So, in the private money, Mayor, I believe you, I just don't know anything about it, and it only addresses, I think, a very small portion of the prison, the old women's prison, which is one of the buildings in the best condition, and that's why they would be interested. We're taking responsibility for the entire campus. So with that, I'll vote no.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
I don't know if I've ever voted in the minority with Larry, but I don't know we're going to be in the minority. It was stated before this is an opportunity, and I believe it's an opportunity, but not at this time. State's left this for 15 years. They've already told us they want no part of it. I think we can have a different agreement that we could have somebody come in and take a look at it, but I cannot get involved in an agreement like this without a solid business plan. I realize plans change, but we would need more of a solid business plan to understand where our costs could be in this. As we all stated, as was all heard, nothing has been done. And with that, I cannot vote for it. I vote no.
Councilwoman Coleman?
May I have a question? We discussed this earlier, you and I, about the management of the property for the 5-year lease. And you said you had a thought about that. Could you just explain that, so that we don't have to hire anyone?
Right, well, I actually spoke with the city manager about this earlier. We've created a new staff position, essentially, to manage the city properties. I think it would fall under his purview, and I think it would be a shared responsibility with Steve Jones, who I also talked to, about the marketing aspects of the property and what can be done there. So I do think I don't think we need to hire a management company any different than we have a management company for the train station or some of the other buildings that we own.
And
of course, this isn't ownership. But.
Correct. And after 12 months, if we decide, after we try it for a year, we decide it's not working, we can get out of it.
You can get out.
I'll vote aye.
Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin,
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Motion carried 6-2.
Mayor? Yes. Pat, would you like to go for a beer?
A couple hours ago, I wanted to do that.
I'll pay to see that.
Council Memo 690-17, a resolution accepting a conveyance, future Hobart Road Boulevard extension. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So,
Second.
In motion and seconded to approve, Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 691-17, a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Joliet and Will County granting eminent domain powers over parcels along Vetter Road. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
In motion second.
Oh,
In motion seconded to approve, Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman,
Because the neighbors did not know about this until last minute, like last night and today, I'm gonna have to vote no.
Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin,
Aye.
Councilman Girl,
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
just so people understand, those that might be watching, I guess in passing, this is just a very, very formal step taken whenever you're doing expansion. We did it on the Caden Farm corridor. You have to have that power. Same type of agreement with the county, so I vote aye. And please sit down if there's a vote.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Motion carried 7-1. Bids and contracts, award of contracts. Council Memo 692-17, renew community notification system. Council Memo 693-17, purchase water metering equipment. Council Memo 694-17 was removed from the agenda. Council Memo 695-17, award a contract for HVAC maintenance. Council Memo 696-17 was approved under consent agenda. And Council Memo 697-17, purchase anti-icing, de-icing fluids for snow removal operations, roadways divisions. It's recommended Council Memos 692, 693, 695, and 697-17 be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Motion seconded to approve. Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Amendments, change orders, and payments. Council Memo 698-17 approved change order number 2 and payment number 2 and final for the 2017 miscellaneous sanitary sewer point repairs project. Council Memo 699-17 approved change order number 11 for the East Side Wastewater Treatment Plant influent pumping station and screen replacement project. Council Memo 700-17 approved change order number 3 for the 2017 sanitary sewer rehabilitation project. And Council Memo 701-17 approved change order number 3 and final payment for the West Side diffuser replacement project. It's recommended Council Memo 698 through 701-17 be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Been motion seconded to approve. Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is the city manager's report.
Mayor and council, just one comment. This afternoon, working with the Public Works Director and the Deputy City Manager, we were on the phone with an IDOT official talking about traffic signal improvement projects on Highway 53 and Emerald Drive, as well as down on Laraway Road. I bring that up because, as mentioned earlier in the Economic Development Committee report, there is some projects currently underway, or at least in the discussion, negotiation phase, that could be a help to address some of these truck traffic, safety, and other issues on Highway 53. However, even as we were having some discussions, it also, the topic was brought up is, you know, what is that ultimate solution? Even if you make some of these incremental improvements, what about the Highway 53 and I-80? The point I'm trying to make is, I think it'd be helpful for all of us, and I'll work with staff to bring this back, as we not only hear from John Groeling about the IDOT commitment to improvements on I-80, I think it'd also be helpful to bring back to the council what more can be done to address some of these traffic issues that we've heard about tonight, last night, and recently on State Highway 53, and what can be done to improve the safety, traffic flow, especially the truck traffic. And so that's one thing I'll be working with staff to bring back to you. What is the many projects that can all serve some purpose in helping to try to improve traffic congestion and traffic flow and safety down in this area on Highway 53 south of I-80. Needless to say, I'm getting a crash course on many of the traffic problems here, but there's no doubt as development continues to occur on the area south of I-80, what's going to be some of those future traffic count projections for the future? How could that current problem even continue to possibly grow? How can the Humboldt Road help mitigate that? So if anything, I think we can all benefit of having a clear vision and projection of how all these things can hopefully improve the quality of life for the traveling public down in this area. And there's many moving pieces. So what we'll try to do is provide some picture of what can happen in the future and how each of these projects can be part of the solution, and what's going to be the timeline on these various projects. So we'll begin that in January when we hear about the freight mobility plan presentation on that second meeting in January, and we'll continue to kind of put together what's that comprehensive plan to help address these transportation issues in that area of south of I-80. So, thank you.
Thank you.
New business, not for final action or recommendation.
Any new business?
Nothing, sir.
Next, we have public comments. Robert Webb.
In the spirit of the Most High, creator of heaven and earth, and on behalf of the reasonable thinking human beings here in Will County, in general, the steering committee, or the cadres of the steering committee for the Pan-African Alliance Collective in particular, I extend to this council our greetings of peace and friendship. For some of us who was here 20 years ago, on this date, a particular event took place in these chambers that set into effect a chain of legal battles that we either fought out at 14 West Jefferson Street or 219 South Dearborn Street, in reference to my having been falsely arrested, committing criminal offenses that never occurred, where the police officers either never showed up in court or the case got dismissed based upon testimony by the defendants who happened to have been the police officers. Most recently, there was an issue that was before Magistrate Judge Maria Valdez. Martin McMahon, who's representing the city in this particular matter, was advised that the parties seek to settle this matter pending before the U.S. District Court, among ourselves, being that it felt as though that they didn't want me to be cut loose in the courtroom with 12 people on a jury trial. Martin McMahon had said to me some time ago, he said, win or lose, it didn't matter to him because he was going to get paid anyway. Now, the city has been spent hundreds of thousands of dollars since 1998 engaging in this legal battle. It's time to bring some closure to this legal battle. So I want the city council to take this under advisement when you go into executive session to talk about pending and threatening litigation, and consider, because Martin City wanted to have a universal settlement of this matter. I gave them a, particular, offer. hope you all decide to engage in this particular contract, since that's what we're here to do, is engage in some type of mutual contractual relationship to resolve certain matters. One of the things that came up in the meantime, during the course of this whole past month, since the 30th of last month, if you recall, back in June, I submitted, pursuant to House Joint Resolution 192 that allows for discharge of debts, something that took place in 1933 by the Congress that was sitting underneath Delano Roosevelt. It had specific instructions that were supposed to be followed to deal with that discharge of debt, since we're operating under Chapter 11 under the bankruptcy since 1933. Little known to the people. I'm sure if you do your independent research, you'll develop a comprehensive understanding what I mean by Chapter 11 bankruptcy that we're operating under, the whole country. In 1933, when Delano Roosevelt came up with this New Deal, they came up with the Social Security card, which is actually a card that's issued by the Department of Social Security to every federal citizen to serve as an agent for that agency. So whatever debt that's accumulated by the use of that card is actually the debt of that agency. House Joint Resolution 192 allows, the holders of that Social Security card to discharge all debts, since you can't pay a bill with a bill. You can only get your debts discharged. During the course of these discussions about this settlement or this legal matter, recently had gotten some information concerning the discontinuation of municipal water services, and I submitted a notice to the legal department, remind them about that notice of tender for set-off, which gave specific instructions that was supposed to be sent to the U.S. Treasury Department for the discharge of that particular debt through the TDA account that's at the Federal Reserve Bank.
Mr. Webb, you hit the 4-minute
in
mark.
Atlanta, Georgia, which has been ignored. So that would only extend the legal battle.
Okay, thank you.
For violation of rights under Title 42,
anyone else that would like to
Section
speak under public
1983.
comments?
Take a seat, please.
Take that under advisement about what Maria Valdez, the magistrate judge
Robert, you can
at 219 Dearborn, Chicago, has to say about resolving this issue, because she don't want it to come back
Take a
to
seat,
her.
please.
Good evening. First of all, I want to say that this was a long meeting, and I should be congratulated because I stayed awake. Councilman Morris, you didn't, but I did. But so my many fans out there, I was awake and alert during the course of the entire meeting. I just want to say Merry Christmas to everyone. But with respect to the prison, I want to say I agree with Councilman Hugg that we do need to determine, and Councilman Mudder, how this is going to be financed. I also agree with the mayor. And I think the mayor, I would suggest that maybe you look to people who actually live there. I don't need Mr. Adamowski and his crew of business people who don't live in the Collins Street area dictating to the people what could be used for that prison. I think we need to bring some of the groups of people that actually live in that area to work with you to help you with a third party to determine what's best use for that prison. From the Forest Park area, from the Collins Street corridor, we need to bring people from that area and get them involved. I get angry when people like him come up here and say, well, this business person, that business person, but he fails to talk about any Hispanic, African Americans, or whites that live in that area that are actually involved in the process. But I agree that something has to be done, and I think you're heading in the right direction with that. And with the Housing Authority, tomorrow we do have our Christmas party. Hope to see everyone there. It's at 12 noon. I'm going to go up to the Forest Park area. Brings back great memories when 1991 when Louise and I started out at the Fairview Housing Project in a small closet, and Councilwoman Gavin's done wonders over there. So I just want to wish each and every one of you a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and smile, Larry, because in 2018, you and the mayor have to realize that the Cubs will win it all.
Thank you. I thought he was awake.
No.
Any other comments?
What I missed.
You must be dreaming.
Next is mayor and council comments.
Yeah, the weather outside right now is pretty nice and that, but it'll be snowing soon, and I just wanna let the city workers know we appreciate all their hard work out there when they're out there plowing. Make sure you stay safe, and make sure you clean my street. Also, I'd just like to take this time to wish everyone, all the citizens of Joliet and all our city staff and my fellow councilmen a very Merry Christmas and the best of New Year.
I'm not gonna clean that street. Yes, I'd like to echo my colleagues' sentiments on happy holidays. Just wishing everybody a very Merry Christmas, a very prosperous New Year. And I want to take this time to thank staff. The things that you all do and provide, the information that you all provide for us to make these decisions, and the way you keep our city safe and services going. And so I just want to say thank you for that, and Merry Christmas.
Mayor, in order not to keep Councilman Morris from his beauty sleep, I just want to wish all of our residents, our city staff, and the mayor and my fellow council members a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
I would first say happy birthday to my son. He's 19 yesterday, but of course we didn't have comments yesterday. So happy birthday, Douglas. And I will say Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah to all of our friends of both faiths. And Merry Christmas, Mayor, my fellow council members, and staff. And looking forward to even better. We had a great 17, we're gonna have even a better 18.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I'd just like to acknowledge my council members. And it was because of you all and the mayor. On Saturday night, I was honored. I know I had 2 votes in my favor, I'm sure, by the National Hookup of Black Women. So I already went in with 2 votes, Councilwoman Gavin and Councilwoman Quibben. I'm sure, at least I hope they voted for me. So
I was sleeping during that vote.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was honored with the Community Award, and I know it wasn't just my doing. I mean, my family, the staff that I work with at the funeral home, as well as I said, as you council members and the mayor and the staff here at the city allowed me to excel in things that I do in the community. So I just wanted to let you all know that I was honored by a wonderful organization here in the Joliet area. And again, it wasn't done by myself, and I want to thank you all too.
Congratulations.
And, thank you. And Merry Christmas.
Just Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everybody.
I'd like to echo all the comments that my colleagues have made as well. And I just want to remind everyone on January 11th, there's going to be a community town hall meeting hosted by Residents United for Safer Highways at the Mosher Performing Arts at the University of St. Francis, 500 Wilcox Street, starting at 6 o'clock and it ends at 8. I'm sure it'll go longer. But the seating is limited, so please get there by 5:30 and the program will begin promptly at 6 p.m. Again, it's Residents United for Safer Highways, 80 Rush 55. And with that said, Happy New Year to all and my colleagues, and thank the staff for all the hard work that they do all year long. Thank you very much.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to the mayor, the council, city staff. Thank them for all their work, and to the residents of the city of Joliet, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Oh, and Councilman Morris, it's time to go home now.
I'll forego the list that I have. Just a couple things. Number one, I want to thank my colleagues in the city council. This was a difficult meeting. Emotions were running high, and it's tough for everybody up here. I know a lot of thought was put into these votes. So thank you for your professionalism with this. Number two, there was a courthouse groundbreaking today. Most of the council was out there. It was a very nice ceremony commemorating or celebrating the beginning of the building of the new courthouse.
Anyone who's been downtown can see the fence line all around First Midwest Bank. That's gonna be demolished in the near future, and the new courthouse is gonna be built. You know, and as I had to speak at the event today, but as I was reflecting, you know, the speakers talked about 20 years in the works for this project to get done. And there is a real trend happening in Joliet, and I think everyone on the city council deserves credit. Things like the courthouse that have been talked about for years are happening. Silver Cross Hospital, which has sat vacant for years, is being demolished and moving forward. We voted on the prison tonight. For 15 years, that sat vacant with nothing happening. That's gonna change. Chicago Street reopening is going to change. The Hobolt Road Bridge is going to change. So I really give this council credit. The last couple of years, we've had our foot on the gas, moving the city forward. I know there's a lot of skepticism, and I think it's deserved because for years, these things were talked about and kicked around, and they never happened. And I'm happy to say they're happening now. So thank you again to all my colleagues. And then finally, to all the residents, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. We'll see you guys early next year, so everyone enjoy the holiday season.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Carrie. Wait up.